shows were a combination of gearheads: John the Instigator, Derek the Conservative, Will the Builder, Sean the Racer, and maybe a guest. Invite you to listen while they sit down, have a drink, and discuss cars. Learn more and subscribe to the podcast at No Driving Gloves. Time now for the ride. And we're sorry we're late.
We're actually on.
Yeah. Some producer accidentally, didn't hit broadcast. So we've had a wonderful conversation about my microphone will be hosting the show.
Mm-hmm. We had a total practice run, and
yes.
The intro is still going to be horrible.
And it was very good the first time around, but it's really hard to be that spontaneous again. I was saying there's some bits of news that I want to hit on this week. I think Derek's got some announcement that I don't have. Well, he told me in a text he's got an announcement. I don't have a clue what he's talking about.
There's the text.
And then if we're going to, and this is how I realized we weren't recording, is we're going to probably talk about some of the things that absolutely should not be on an automobile, or stupid things on an automobile. You know, last week we touched on tire pressure sensors and things like that, but coffee pots in the car probably shouldn't be, they shouldn't make a 12-volt coffee pot that brews in your cup holder.
Yeah, not a coffee pot, but definitely a cappuccino machine.
We can do a cappuccino machine because that's going to totally distract you.
Mm-hmm.
And there was actually something I read that basically in the UK now, you can't touch your cell phone if you're, what do I want to say? Driving. I mean, you're not allowed to unlock it. You're not allowed to operate any apps. You're not allowed to send text messages. You're not allowed to accept phone calls. Basically, I think if you can't do it through like Apple CarPlay or
Android Auto or Bluetooth.
Android Auto, you are SOL. I don't think you could even listen to podcasts. You couldn't hear our gorgeous voices because you would be actively using an app to listen. So I don't know. I don't live in the UK. I don't want to move that far east, and I don't want to move to California west. So
here's the thing. Like, they make breathalyzer tests to put in cars for those who have been charged with DUIs. And if you blow anywhere on the system or on the scale, there it is, that's the word I'm looking for, the car won't start. We got to be able to figure out some kind of technology where the car won't start if your phone is not actively plugged into a hands-free unit. I mean, we can do it with an alcohol tester, breathalyzer tester. We should be able to do it somehow with a phone.
The issue comes there, and this is what happened in the U.S.
I don't care about issues.
It only affects the driver. What if your passenger needs to utilize the phone? What if your passenger wants to enter information into the GPS, which I guess you can't use now because, you would be actively using an app. But if your passenger wants to use a phone, that's where it gets confusing because I don't think our technology's smart enough to know which is which, unless we all do what Volvo does and some of the new car companies. And we only can start our cars through the phone, and the phone that we use to start the car is the one that, then it deactivates itself and it goes into a car mode.
So you just get a burner phone to start your phone or start your car, and then you just have your regular phone to use while you're driving.
Well, I had thought that one through too, but it might work in the UK, but we're talking to Americans here. A lot of us are, we're too lazy to swing down that aisle at the old Circle K and pick up a phone. So, Jason likes the coffee pot idea. It does exist, Jason. We were talking about it in one of my computer sales meetings, that somebody was saying, "Oh, it'd be great to," and I came up with 2 or 3 of them because I knew they existed.
Toby wants a key. I don't know.
Yeah, but a key is not going to deactivate your phone. See, that would also probably then fall into that last half of the show, stupid things that are on our cars.
Keys?
No, having to start your car via your phone or via an app, which when 4G cellular service goes away, your car won't start now. So,
actually, Toby's right. I think maybe I can extrapolate what Toby is trying to say here. He's saying if we would just go back to old-fashioned keyed ignitions, all of the people that can't seem to get off their phones probably wouldn't be able to figure out how to start their car because there was no push button to start the car. They'd actually have to figure out how to put the key in and turn it, and they'd be too busy on their phone to make it happen. I think that's what Toby's actually trying to say.
That would be like the videos where they're showing kids nowadays, or teenagers nowadays, and they give them a rotary phone.
That's exactly it. That is exactly it. It'd be like those really bad, like late night QVC infomercials, where do you have problems opening your Tupperware? And the guy's like trying to reef it open. He falls on the floor and breaks his arm, and
of course, it has absolutely nothing to do with cars, but I think the last time I watched QVC or one of those home shopping networks, I'm not going to necessarily throw QVC under the bus. They were selling a watch, and it was like $289 or something, or 18 easy payments of $46.50, or however they worked it. And there were only 500 of these watches. They were displaying on the screen like watch number 186. They only had 832 of them sold, and they still had like 7 minutes to go in the presentation. Something didn't add up there to me.
No.
Sold 832 of a group of
500.
Mm-hmm. So
intriguing. I was never good at math.
You're not a gamer, are you, Derek?
No.
Okay. No. I'm not a gamer either. I don't understand this. Maybe somebody can justify it to me. Maybe one of our listeners can justify it. I'm going out. I'm spending $1,000 on a PS5. So I can buy Gran Turismo 7 for $70. So I can play the game. If I want a car other than the standard car, I have to pay for it. And they range anywhere from $5 to $200. And people who play Gran Turismo 7 are kind of upset about that. Would you kind of be pissed, Derek, if you've got $1,100 into a game system without taxes, and now you've got to spend $200, and it's a car I know you would want to drive. It's like a 29 Mercedes something. You're like totally in awe.
Oh, I thought there was more. I'm sorry.
No,
you never really wrapped up your question. I didn't feel like you wrapped up the question.
It would be a car that you'd want to drive. It's a 29 Mercedes-Benz Barker Tour. And that car, the comparison I have is 160 pounds, which at yesterday's exchange rate came up to about $220. I don't understand that. I can understand earning credits and points and having to buy the car. I can understand, $1 or $2 to buy a car, but all of a sudden this landscape, I've been exposed to, and I've talked to many people over, the last year, selling computers, that their job is they create worlds. They create a neighborhood in Sims, or they create this and whatever, and then they sell it to somebody else. It's virtual property they're owning, or they rent it to somebody else. I guess, is this part of that? I mean, you have to throw about 18 different half-assed questions at you.
I have literally no idea what we're talking about because I'm not a gamer. It all sounds really stupid to me, but I'm sure to a gamer, it all sounds really exciting, John. All I can think is $1,100 plus, $200, $1,300, $1,500 keeps adding up. I can buy a lot of stuff that I need for my cars with that money. Matter of fact, I bet you I could find a car that I could buy for $1,500 that I could go out and drive and enjoy. So it all sounds really dumb.
I think we did that at the beginning of the pandemic. We all figured out how to spend our assistance checks or whatever the government sent out. And I still couldn't find something for, what was it, $1,200? I chose a watch.
Yeah, but that's because you're so picky on cars. You got to have these fancy things that are nice, and you won't drive a beater. So,
No, I haven't told you what happened to the Mini. Maybe that'll be after your announcement.
John's got an announcement.
Dan, back in 88, 89, I was cruising Main Street or out driving or whatever, shifting gears in the CRX or my B2000 or whatever, usually chatting on the phone, drinking a Mountain Dew and smoking a cigarette. So manual transmissions aren't going to keep you off the phone. And we didn't have hands-free. We had those, I had a bag phone. I had one mounted in the car. I had a bread box phone. I had all, I went through phones like I did cars. New phone every year, new phone every 8 or 9 months. But yeah, so I don't think manual transmissions are the answer there. Let's see. What other little things? I'll save that one until after.
So why did we get on the gaming thing again?
Well, I just wanted to ask that question. If anybody had an opinion, if you think it is
stupid, yes.
Yeah, stupid or reasonable or whatever it is.
And my guess is that, that's probably, they're probably paying with Bitcoin, which I don't understand that either. So I'm an old fuddy-duddy. That's what I'm saying.
And I love the headline that came out this morning. Mark Green even had it on his Facebook page and in some other places, that we have the highest market cap globally with U.S. car makers at over $1 trillion in car companies. And remember, I think we really only have 3 American car companies: General Motors, Ford, and Tesla. And what is it? GM, somewhere I had the number, but GM only is worth, let's see here. Ford has it's basically is valued at $67 billion. General Motors is valued at $64 billion. And we only have 3 American car companies, really, because Stellantis is now kind of foreign.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla puts us in the lead because they're valued at $958.67 billion as of whenever this study was done. Running a close second is Toyota at $237 billion. I can't.
What is the justification for that value?
Yeah. How is Tesla valued at $1 trillion? I mean, to hell with everybody else. 958.67 rounds to $1 trillion. We don't even need to worry about Ford and GM.
Yeah.
Then that's kind of a question I have too. I don't want to get into a lot of Tesla talk and that, and Tesla fanboys and the Tesla jump from this week that was all over social media until the one guy that filmed the most of it copyrighted his YouTube and then donated all the money to the guy whose Subaru got totaled. But I'm just, again, I'm at a loss. There's no way. I mean, if Toyota's worth less than $250 billion and Tesla's worth damn near $1 trillion, Toyota builds 6 or 7 more cars than Tesla. Oh, Jason, it's really easy to buy a Tesla. You go to Tesla.com and you order one. If it can't if you can't have a delivery in your state, you just have to drive a state over. It's not that hard to get a Tesla. It might be a waiting list right now, and you have to deal with the fact that supposedly Tesla, the reason they can still build cars is they're repurposing microchips, and chips that were supposed to go to redundant systems are being used for primary systems now. So something like something in the steering. They have a primary system, and in case that fails, there's a redundant system to take over. Well, they're using the microchips out of that redundant system to go into the primary system. So if your steering fails now, you don't have any backup.
Yeah.
Or so I read. And the nice thing is Mercedes-Benz announced this week, when their cars go autonomous driving, basically self-driving cars, they beat Tesla, and Mercedes-Benz has agreed to accept all liability for any accidents while a car is in self-driving mode. I do not think that's a good idea.
Did they say when they're going to be bringing their self-driving systems out?
It's 2023 or 2024.
Well, they must be pretty darn sure of themselves.
Every lawyer I know, every accident lawyer I know, I can't wait to actually hear a couple of the podcasts I listen to and the lawyers comment there. You go after the guy with the most money. I mean, you sue everybody. You sue the dealership that sold it. You sue the salesman. You sue the guy driving. You sue the manufacturer. And when you now they're saying we're to accept all liability. I think they're hopefully they have a new legal team on staff. That and I'm going to save that other piece of news till later in the show.
Saving news for later in the show.
Well, we're teasing you. What happened to the Mini? What's the later? What's the...
Such a tease. This really is turning into No Driving Gloves After Dark. You're such a tease.
Oh, yeah. I got my pink grapefruit drink, too. I better not put the label on.
Yeah, no advertising.
Yeah. From Aldi or Aldi. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I've heard it both ways. The guy that goes through and shows us all the discounts on YouTube pronounces it either way. And he even had a show about it, but he seems to pronounce it each way. So
why are we talking about grocery stores?
Hey, we're talking about overvalued businesses and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Tell us what you got going on, Derek.
Absolutely nothing.
Sounds about right. Other than little kids turning down your microphone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But hey, it didn't matter anyway, because somebody didn't hit the broadcast button. So, no. So, well, you teased everyone. John was saying that I actually had something to say tonight, and that I wasn't just going to sit on here and be pretty on the camera and not talk. So, so for anyone that's not in the Corvette community, or anyone that's not on the National Corvette Museum email list of members, donors, all those wonderful folks that we have out there, we try to keep the show light. So if I get a little less than light, I apologize. But I have announced my resignation from the Corvette Museum. So I will be departing there. My last day will be April 8th. It was an extremely difficult decision to make, but it was a decision for those two little kiddos that turned my microphone down at some point and led to a very confusing pre-show tonight on the podcast. But I've been, as John knows, and a lot of our listeners know, I'm coming up on basically 20 years in the automotive museum career, and I've been working pretty hard at building that career, and I like to think that I've been fairly successful in what I've done, and it's now time to step back for a minute and raise some kiddos up and make sure they have the life they need, and see that that's done. And but I'm not leaving the automotive museum field. I actually accepted a curator position at the Lane Motor Museum down in Nashville. So I will be still in the museum field, just not at that senior management director of collections level. I'm going to go back to, just the curatorial role and, working with collections hands on and, having a little more time dedicated at home to the kiddos.
And you're going from, I want to say, very mainstream car to very eccentric cars primarily, which is kind of your specialty.
Yeah, I mean, I like to think that, my specialty is, automotive history in the history of technology, which my degree is actually in the history of technology. Um, and, I grew up around Corvettes. I grew up in a GM family, as everyone on this show or that listens to the podcast knows. And, my dad was and still is fiberglass guy. I mean, he was one of the key Corvette guys at every dealership he worked at. I grew up working on them. But I certainly would say that my passion, my deepest passion in automotive history is some of the quirkier things and more oddball things. And that might have even showed at the Corvette Museum. Some of my favorite cars in the collection there were, the two-rotor Corvette that we were able to bring in, the experimental XP 987 GT from 1973. And, some of the really one-off stories within the Corvette, world. Gulf 2, the 1963 Z06 race car, the 1 millionth Corvette. Bringing in an exhibit or putting together and curating an exhibit that's there now called Corvette Powered, where it's everything in there has Corvette engines, but not a single car in there is a Corvette. The Bizzarinis and the ESOs. I like making those ties to the lesser known stories in automotive history. So I definitely think it is somewhere where I'll yet again, be able to tell some really great stories and shine some light on some unique cars in history. So,
I wanted to point out to listeners of the show, we've actually talked about the Lane Museum twice on the show. And honestly, Derek, unfortunately, wasn't present for either one of them. Back on episode 48, there's Zara and the Lane. That was an episode that I visited the Lane with a previous relationship. And we kind of discussed our visit and some of the things we saw there. And I know I complained about a couple of things that may have been on display. And then about 100 episodes later, on episode 135, we had the crazy cars of Jeff, of the Jeff Lane Motor Museum, or the Lane Motor Museum. So you can go to the website, nodrivinggloves.com, type in Lane, and definitely listen to episode 135. We really get into talking about some of the eccentric cars that Jeff has, and it's really, really a cool place. What I was saving for after your discussion here, because I lied to people, I actually knew kind of what was going on. Do you guys have one of these Corvettes? Where did it go? Yeah. The ZR1 prototypes with the Lotus Active suspension.
Haven't we talked about that on the show, John?
We might have. I can go back. You want me to see if I can find it in an episode so I can plug
honestly, I don't know if we talked about it or not, but yes, during my tenure at the museum, I was able to work with a family that donated not only one of the active suspension cars, but also Snake Skinner 2, which was the show car version of the Snake Skinner Corvette. So yes, the NCM does have one of the active suspension ZR1s in the collection.
Okay, I was just asking because it seems one has popped up for sale.
Yes, yes, it has. Actually, one that is nearly it's again one of the show cars, not one of the test cars. If it's the same one I saw maybe about a week or two ago, that's probably still up for sale. And because there was a little difference in some of them were full on test cars and had a lot more test equipment built into the dashes, and some of the show cars were really put together to look like a full production car that could be out on a show circuit, and people really wouldn't notice too much difference other than some of the design styling changes. So yes, the one you see for sale, which is black, is nearly identical to the one that's now in the Corvette Museum collection.
Yeah, they plug it as one of only 3 known surviving prototypes. But it is going by your description, it looks more like one of the show cars. It doesn't have any additional.
Well, they were all prototypes, so they're not wrong there.
So,
yeah, there were no production cars ever. They never brought them out for sale, consumable sale to the public. So, and yeah, so yeah, but I guess to kind of wrap that up, or wrap up this discussion in some form or fashion. If you can tell, I have a hard time talking about this decision. It's been an amazing run at the Corvette Museum, the 5 years I was there. And I'm not sure if Dan, who listens regularly, he was on earlier, if he decided to just go away for this, or if he's just not commenting. But Dan is one of my talented staff at the museum. And it's, as they all know, it's been a very tough decision, but nothing has been more difficult than the unexpected goodbye that was given to me by Corvette Blogger the other night. So to all my friends at the Corvette Blogger group, I appreciate it. And, it's been great, and I'm not going far, and I still plan to be involved at the Corvette Museum in one way or another. So,
well, you were involved with them before your tenure there, and you have a tendency to probably leave on better terms than I do with jobs. So I was just thinking, do I need to figure out how to run up to the Corvette Museum by April 8th, or?
No, I think everybody will be all right, except for Jason. He will no longer get any discounts anywhere, and will actually pay double admission anytime he visits.
Well, he's got to make up for all those free things at the Stingray Bar and Grill, or Stingray Cafe, or whatever you guys call it now.
Stingray Grill. Come on, man. Get it right.
Hey, I got it. I just threw out a whole bunch of words. It was bar, it was grill.
It does have a great bar. So if you're in Bowling Green, swing by, have a drink, some great drinks there. Here's the cool thing. Once I'm no longer employed there, I can actually drink at the bar.
You never thought of that. They've got stupid rules. You should be able to take off your Corvette Museum logos and
as long as we're not on the clock, we can drink. But
go in there with your Viper t-shirt on and enjoy a beverage.
Nah, go in there with a Ford Thunderbird shirt on.
Probably even better.
Some of the listeners will get that. Like I said, I think Dan ran away. So, but.
And maybe he'll come back. Unfortunately, he missed all of it. Or he can pick it up. You can listen to this audio, or, you can listen to it all you want on YouTube or Facebook, No Driving Gloves. Or the audio is going to be available in approximately 2 weeks on your favorite podcast catcher.
There's Dan. He's back.
We shouldn't be using words like that on the podcast, Dan.
Why not? They hacked us the last 3 shows.
I guess they're participating. So.
Turns out we're huge in Russia.
Well, I'm going to say long story short, and it's turned out to be a long story because my incident happened prior to the show last Wednesday. And the car has yet to make it to the shop. Due to, I don't know. Hopefully it gets there tomorrow. It'd be really nice to find out. But the Mini encountered Best way I can put it is if you remember the scene in Risky Business with the U-boat commander. Well, my German car experienced a issue with a lot of water, and an idiot, I was going through some fairly deep water, but I've driven through deeper water in a Porsche that has side air intakes and know how to go through water. And the guy in front of me decided to stop, and it caused me to have to stop. And the Mini decided to turn itself off. So we will find out, hopefully by the end of the week, if it's totaled or not. Which brings up a lot of interesting questions because of ends up going through the insurance, and it's $1,000-$1,500 for them to clean it up and get it to run again. It now has a flood claim, and that destroys it on the Carfax. If it's a new motor, for $15,000-$16,000 in, and that's close to a total. But normally they seem to, what I've been told is if you have a flood claim, they total them. I'm kind of hoping that is. I've already been looking at other Minis to replace it with. I've actually had a couple on hold, and we'll see where it goes. But my little white Mini might be changing. It might stay a white Mini. I don't know. But
ooh, John, there's a Mini E in Nashville.
Yeah, unfortunately, this happened last Wednesday, and my last day at my present job, day job thing is officially Saturday, and Monday I begin a new job. So I will be going in to potentially buy a new car, saying, "Hey, give me a loan. I only have a week on the job." So that might affect a couple of my vehicle choices too. So,
welcome to No Driving Gloves, where we teach you how to not hold a steady job.
Well, it seems to be, 2/3 of us have had car incidents in the last couple of months. So
I will say the water was probably a lot more comfortable of a situation than a concrete culvert.
Well, by the time the tow truck got there and everything, the rain had stopped. If it was probably more comfortable for me.
That's what I'm saying. It was much more comfortable for you than it was for me hitting a concrete culvert.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm saying it was probably more comfortable for me than everybody else going home through rush hour traffic at that time, and me blocking a whole half of the intersection.
Oh, that was you.
Yeah. I don't know. How long did it take you, Brandy, to turn around?
About 15 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, 15 minutes for an intersection that probably is normally 2. And I don't know how far back she was. I don't know if she was able to cut the line but yeah, I'm sorry to everybody, but that's the way the ball goes. So I'm going to let you know, I did really think about that Mini E you mentioned, Derek, but the new job's going to require some mileage. Obviously, I don't care about the premium gas prices. I do care about the mileage on the Mini, but that gives me an opportunity to buy a new Mini with, a hellacious warranty. Or extended service plan, as CarMax calls it, because for really next to nothing, I can put 125,000 mile warranty on this thing that's going to cover everything that I'm kind of concerned about. And I'm still looking at low mileage cars. So we'll see where we go, but that's my kind of thing there. So
I want to jump over to something Jason said here, because I'm going to take this to work tomorrow with me, because he was trying to mention the Lime Rock drink that is at the Stingray Grill bar, which I've not tried yet, but I've heard everyone that has had it. It's exactly what Jason is saying. It is fantastic. But he had a typo, and it says, "Get the Like Rock drink." Jason, I'm going to steal that, and I'm going to go in there and suggest that we create a drink that's called Like a Rock, because of course that was Chevy's slogan for a while. So I think we need the Lime Rock and the Like a Rock drink. I'm just going to take that into work. And yes, I'll take full credit for it, Jason, not you.
Well, let's go ahead and Jason did correct himself, but
he did, yes, but I like his typo.
What how many drinks did whoever created this have before they go, hey, you know what would be good on a drink is bacon and shrimp?
I have no idea. I wasn't involved.
There's some marijuana.
The studio audience is potentially saying there's other things that may have been involved in the creation of that drink. But see, your like rock drink, that could be the vegetarian version where you can put fake bacon on it and fake shrimp, tofu shrimp bacon and tofu shrimp.
Can we move on to talking about cars?
Well, you're the one who's talking about breathalyzers in the cars earlier. Kind of goes
good
along with
point.
it.
Good point. Colin, I don't think you can share pictures in the live comment section. Sorry.
Mentioned a World War II boat.
Oh, you were talking about risky business.
Oh. We were talking about the U-boat commander in Risky Business and the German car that was involved. And as everybody knows, Minis are German. No drinking gloves. There's the name for our after-hour show, Derek.
Ooh, I like that. But who wears gloves to drink? That's like...
So what stupid things have they put on our cars? We got 23 minutes or so. I'm not saying we have to be done in 23 minutes. But,
stupid things put on a car.
Or stupid accessories are available. Ford announced yesterday or the day before that they are actually putting video conferencing in their line of electric vehicles. So the Mach-E, the Ford Lightning, and I don't know what else is electric from Ford, but they're putting video conferencing in. Now, they never said if it only operates when the vehicle's stationary or whatever, but England and their cell phone laws would have a heyday with that one. Do we really need video conferencing in your car? I've very rarely referred to my day job, and I've referred to it now 3 times in the show. I have a Zoom call every Tuesday and Thursday at the job that I'm leaving that I usually take in my car, and I can do it on my phone. I'm not moving. Matter of fact, our company policy says you can't drive, and I listen to the company policy. Maybe it's more to milk them out of the money than it is to be efficient, but I do just fine without having a screen to video conference and see all my coworkers, and I really don't want them seeing the inside of my car anyway.
But here is the problem with that, and here is this stupid. I mean, there's a lot of stupid things that have been put on cars. I mean, really since 1935, we don't really need much after then, in my opinion. But the biggest problem I have with stuff like this, where it's like, oh, we're going to put video conferencing in your car. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. All it is corporate America. So I'm going to sound so horrible here. All it is the kind of, capitalistic world we live in, just trying to squeeze more work out of you. That's what it comes down to. Like, let's put video conferencing in your car. That way, when you're on your way home from work to see your family, you can still be working. That is what this comes down to me. And it's just frustrating. It's stupid and it's frustrating.
That's why Mercedes are expensive.
I'm trying to read this, that a noise that goes out during airbag deployment and that creates pressure inside the ear canal so that no damage from noises during the crash. We better keep that one quiet, or I can see that one becoming government mandated. I mean, why not? It'd be just something else we were forced to put on all our cars and pay an extra $300 or $400 for the car for. Not saying that safety is questionable. but I don't think we need all the safety stuff that we're required to have on our cars. Tire pressure sensors are one of my biggest issues. How many people actually pay attention to them? If you live in a climate where the temperature varies, which most of us do, I mean, not everybody lives in Miami. You ignore that light all winter because sometimes it's, your tires fluctuate pressure. I mean, 3-4 pounds, and sometimes the light comes on, sometimes the light goes off. So we ignore it. And then the people that the light's intended to help, those that don't take time to actually check air pressure in their tires, they're the ones still driving around on flat tires, but just another light on. They probably have the low pressure light on. They probably have the yellow emissions light on, and probably the e-brake lights still stuck on from some time.
No, of course. And really, I mean, seriously, who needs a check engine light? I mean, just.
Well, nobody understands. You get the yellow one that comes on, and it means it's kind of a problem, and then you get the red one that says, "Oh no, you better stop right now."
And then when it blinks,
So, and on the Mini, it actually just says, "Forward motion has ceased. Please contact dealer." I'm glad it told me that, but I'm not moving, so I definitely can read it.
Yeah. And that, I mean, it's just trying to think of how to phrase this, but I think and I think we've talked about it on the show before. It's one of the reasons that so many drivers are becoming more and more distracted because of all the stupid technology that has been added to automobiles. And you barely drive a car anymore. You point it down the road and, regulate how fast or slow you're going. That's about all you do anymore. And it's, everything that's been added has taken away from actually driving an automobile. That's my take on it. I mean, like you said, John, tire pressure sensor, like all this stuff is just like, well, Americans are too dumb to take care of their car, so we're just going to put all these sensors on it to make them okay with it. And here's the thing. I mean, you think about it, and yeah, climate control is nice. Yes, you want to have heat in the winter. Air conditioning for a major part of the country is, do you absolutely need it? Probably not. But if you start whittling away at some of these stupid accessories that are in automobiles, electric vehicles would get further with their range because they wouldn't be trying to power all these things with the battery power that is supposed to be dedicated to the electric motors.
I'm not going to go with that one. Devin comments that he has a friend that hates the blind spot lights. I find those interesting. I kind of objected to them until I actually had the Bliss system blind spot indicator or something on the Ford vehicles, on the Taurus and the Edge and that. I actually found them helpful. And the way they're designing cars now, I can't necessarily say they're not necessary, because the Mini, great. You can see out of it. There's not a blind spot to be had in that car. The Toyota, not the Camry, what the heck am
Prius?
I driving? Corolla, that I'm driving as a rental car, because it's so squished and the windows are so tight. It's got blind spots that, I mean, I miss elephants in it. It's ridiculous. And I have the
Well, then it must not have blind spots, John, if you're missing the elephant. If it had blind spots, you'd hit the elephant.
No, I really like them. Now, they need to figure out how to make everybody's look alike. The Ford's just a little yellow dot, and that's nice to me. I know Honda a couple of years ago, they had something that looked like a car. I drove a Toyota Camry the other day that had a blind spot, and it had some other figure Now the dot, it might be too simple, but they need to put something, it needs to be this standardized across all cars. I mean, the lights on the dashboard, the check engine, all that are the same. They just, that's my kind of biggest problem. And what I noticed when I had it on my Fords, and I would drive, when I would drive any of my ex's cars, I would find myself just tooling down the interstate, look at the mirror, and no yellow light, and make a lane change. She's right. It did dumb me down as a driver because I stopped using the mirrors for what they were there for, and I was looking at them just for the light. So, yeah, I'll agree it dumbs you down, but I agree I'll disagree and say there is a necessity for them anymore with the way they design cars.
Well, in some cases, but and I like Dan's comment here about the parking assist, like parallel parking assist and all that, where the cars will park themselves for you. Stupid technology, but also maybe good technology if you're the car that's parked either side of that parallel spot and that person doesn't know how to parallel park. It might be a good thing. But I think, albeit the blind spot, indicating system, whatever it is, it creates a crutch, if you will, a driving crutch, because you're relying on that to tell you what's going on. On the flip side of that, and I know we're supposed to be talking about stupid technology. I don't know who Arc of Fire is. Okay. But I think one of the benefits that have come from some of that, development are now the camera mirrors. So, like the C8 Corvette and some of the Suburbans and, some of these vehicles have it where you can either have the rear view mirror as just a rear view mirror, or you can actually turn a switch and it uses the camera at the back of the vehicle to actually create a wider view of what's behind you. That I find very beneficial because there you're not relying on that blind spot indicator of a light, but rather you're actually getting a wide angle camera look at what's going on behind you as you're driving. So I'm going to flip it on its head there, I think. And, I agree. I think those blind spot indicators can be stupid. They become a crutch, but I think the camera technology that's coming out is going to be beneficial.
Yeah, I know Honda, I had to drive a fleet of Odysseys a couple of years back, and they had it where you had the blind spot indicator. And on the Hondas, they didn't put it in the mirror. They put it inside the A-pillar, kind of where the mirror mounts to the door, just on the other side of it. You have the blind spot thing there. But if you are one of these people that actually use a turn signal to indicate lane changes, it would also take the video screen and cut it in half and show you, if you're going to the right, it would take the right half of the video screen and show you a view down the side of the car, which first 3 or 4 times it did it to me. It really irritated me, almost to the point where I stopped using my turn signal to indicate lane changes. But that, I think, is a nice compromise because you still have the mirrors, you still get the video, and you still have the blind spot detection. You get it all in one. And I say, I don't disagree. I'll go along with everybody here who said that cars are being designed to cater for the distracted driver. But I believe I read this week that the National Highway Safety Transportation Administration has now made it permissible to have no driver controls in the cockpit. So you don't get a steering wheel, you don't get a brake pedal, you don't get a gas pedal, you get a dashboard. This is going to some of these new automated taxi services, and I'm sure $1 trillion Tesla has something to do with that. And I still, it was just a couple of years ago that you still had to have a physical connection between the brake pedal and the master cylinder. You couldn't use electronics in there. Now, of course you can, but you had to have that. You had to have a solid connection between the steering wheel and the steering box, steering rack,
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
And that, that went power, decade, 15 years ago or something. So I know we're losing some of these things, but I think there should be some way to take over if the computer makes a mistake. But that's why everything's, catering to the distracted driver, because all it is R&D for self-driving cars.
Exactly. Exactly. And
these
that's what Devin just brought up. He says Minority Report style, which is really interesting. And I think I brought this up on the podcast, possibly very early on or somewhere along the way. But, as I mentioned earlier, my degree is in the history of technology, and Minority Report is actually one of the movies, that during my studies, we actually watched and actually read the book as well. Don't forget the Minority Report is based on a book. And had to write papers on and discuss the future technology thoughts that were in it. And of course, the whole self-driving car component is there. The whole pod thing that you hear being talked about in the auto industry is flat out in Minority Report.
And Bob Lutz came out 2 or 3 years ago and said exactly that. It's not going to happen in his lifetime. It's probably not going to happen in my lifetime. But those kids that you've taken the new job for, Derek, are probably going to start seeing the beginnings of it. I mean, in 2 or 3 years, they're supposed to be self-driving, quote, cabs or Ubers or whatever they're going to be. So maybe it's actually going to start taking effect. But I think your kids are going to see the transition of, I don't care if you're saying petrol-powered cars or electric cars or hydrogen-powered cars, but human activated or human controlled cars will go the way of the horse and only be toys that are used on private playgrounds, i.e. racetracks and, off-road trails and that, because nobody's going to want to insure them, because once you have this network of pods that are all communicating with each other, and you're going to reduce accidents, you're going to reduce, things probably still go wrong, but it's kind of like having the subway in New York. It crashes every now and then, but
delicious sandwiches, by the way.
Huh?
Delicious sandwiches, by the way.
They,
Not really.
Yeah,
I hate Subway.
Should we do a Subway commercial here too and see if we can get them on? remember on the old
I
show
hope not,
Psych,
because
they always promoted Subway.
I do not like Subway. No, let's not get them as a sponsor.
Okay.
Psych, though, great show. If any of the cast from that show want to come on the podcast, we'd love to have them.
I got the little Psych character. I can't think of the main character's name, but I got him as my avatar
Sean?
on one. Yeah.
Sean, how can you forget Sean's name? How?
Well, I was trying to think of the actor's name, but
And Gus?
he's my avatar on
right.
Hulu or one of those services that I pay for. And I haven't watched the third movie yet. I need to get around to actually watching the third movie, but that's on one of the station or streaming services I don't pay for. But 2040, Devin B says, I think it'll be a normal thing. Well, that'll put me at 70 years old. No.
If you live that long, John. You're the one driving through flooded roadways. It's not safe. You're not supposed to do it.
Yeah, I know. Probably won't ever again. I'll sit there and I'll hold up traffic from the other side of the river. Well,
so did we cover enough stupid technology? I mean, what else is there that is stupid technology on? Really, to me, anything that's gonna, I don't know. That's going down a rabbit hole we probably don't need to go down. Never mind.
Message me, Jason. I can't talk about it until Monday. But
he has a NDA in place. He can't.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, it happens, right? So we can't, there's times that certain people can't talk about things before there's public releases, and
Well, I guess I'm thinking more maybe an anti-compete, but
that too.
Is that Devin from the cigar shop?
yeah. So I think we though have rolled into potentially next week's topic, and we always talk about automotive history. Let's go ahead and take this pod thing to the next level. And maybe next week, part of the show, we'll discuss the future of the automobile or what will become of the automobile. I mean, we've had a lot of great conversation here, especially when we're talking about some of the stupid stuff and some of the tech that keeps coming. Hate push button start. I like it. This Tercel Camry Corolla that I'm driving, it still uses a key. And you would not believe how freaking annoying that is. I got to get a key out of my pocket, and I got to unlock it remotely, and I got to get a key out of my pocket and put it in the car. No, I like walking up to the car, touching the door handle, opening the door, sitting down, pushing a button, and go. But again, we all know John likes new stuff. Derek probably, prefers to go out, set the sparks, set the throttle,
turn the ignition on, walk out to the front of the car, grab the crank. Yeah.
Kick the tires.
That is real driving.
Or light the boiler and, warm it up a little bit. And
I don't have any steam cars, John. I wish I did.
I would say you wish you did, and you would love to do that, be able to do that.
I got dibs on
Leno always
looks
looks so happy when he's lighting his steam cars.
I know. Except for that one time one blew up in his face. He didn't look too happy that day, but look it up on YouTube. He put it out there. Yeah, I got my dibs on an electric car though. So hopefully one day that'll be in the collection.
You can get one of those early Porsches.
That would be fantastic. The what was it? Loner? Yeah, Loner Porsche electric hybrids from the turn of the century. I'm talking 1800s to 1900s, not 1990s to 2000. But yeah, no, 20s era Detroit Electric that I know of that I'd really like to have in my collection someday. Yeah. And I wouldn't mind a steam car. Steam cars, I've been around them. I drove the replica of the 1770 Cugnot steam car, but I've never actually been behind the wheel of a like a Stanley Steamer or anything like that. I gotta get that checked off the bucket list.
Now all of a sudden there's something I was thinking about that went back to you and early cars, and I think the Patton motor wagon, but I can't remember the whole story.
The Benz Patton motor wagon.
But to answer Jason's question, the reason Will's not here is because, Will's shutting his business down. No, Will's working.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's working his freaking butt off and hauling cars all over the country. I can't remember. Is he on his way to California or honestly,
somewhere out west?
I don't know, but he's working all the time. He's taking that damn Impala everywhere, and the problem is he keeps bringing home more stuff because it keeps winning awards. So I'm not gonna. We give Will a big free pass when he needs to miss an episode. Besides, Derek and I have this great repertoire and distraction, and when I remember to push broadcast.
I mean, everybody loves it when it's just me and John. Boom. But
I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. Like I said, we might talk about the future of the automobile next week. No promises. I will be out of my studio next week, so hopefully we can put this all together and do a broadcast, see how it goes from a hotel room. But we're still intending to be here. I won't have my RE320. I'll be back onto Audio Technica or Samsung mic. But we'll be here. We'll chat with you. Future of the automotive thing. Future of the
automotive landscape, if you will.
That's a good one. And now I all of a sudden got the artwork going through my head.
Boom.
NoDrivingGloves.com. buy us a coffee there, find back episodes, find links to all the videos. All the videos are actually on that site too. So check it out. The videos are more up to date than the audio episodes. For those of you audio listeners, I appreciate you putting up with this every 3-day release as we catch the audio shows back up. And with that, I'm out of here.
Crushing it.
And I better push stop to let's see here.
Yeah, end broadcast. See, you couldn't figure out how to start it. End it.
Chat with you guys later.